Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Cam's Retro Gaming. So this episode is going to be gaming slash collecting on a budget. Now, if you are just a pure sort of like budget gamer, you probably go the emulation route or like the EverDrive route. But this is for someone who's looking to also collect physical games, consoles, play them on, original hardware or something close to it, and to do so and not like break the bank. So here are some consoles slash tips that I would recommend if you are in that boat. So first one, and this is in no particular order. These are kind of like four scenarios I would go down. So now there are cheaper alternatives, but if you're going to go the handheld route and you're looking for Nintendo handheld games, consoles, whatever, Analog Pocket is my preferred method of playing. Anything from the Game Boy Color, the original Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance. And it's just such a good unit, and you're going to get your money's worth, in my opinion. Plus, you can emulate a bunch of stuff as well, but we're talking physical releases. So with this one console, you can play Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and original Game Boy games. Plus, with the adapter set, you can play TurboGrafx games, PC Engine games, Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket, I think Master System potentially. I forgot, maybe not. But anyway, so my point is, you have lots of options with one handheld. Actually, I don't think it plays Master System games. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of the Game Gear Master Gear Converter. But I digress. Great option. You're kind of killing a whole bunch of birds with one stone. And there are some expensive games in the libraries of the Game Boy Color, original Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance. But for the most part, collecting loose games on these consoles, you can find great games for cheap. So high recommendation for sure. Next up, we have the original Xbox. Now, I'm not the biggest Xbox fan. I do tend to find better deals on the original Xbox. If there's like a PS2 counterpart versus the Xbox counterpart, usually the Xbox is cheaper. Sometimes even performs better because it just is better, more robust hardware. I'm not a big fan of the controller, but I always find these games are pretty cheap. So, and I think you can play a lot of these games on the 360 or Xbox One. I've had bad experiences with the 360 and the Xbox One. I don't own those consoles anymore. The only Microsoft console I own is the original Xbox. It is what it is. I'm not a fanboy of anything. I don't like the controller really on any of the Xbox consoles. But point being, you can find great deals on the original Xbox and multiple ways of playing the same game. And the most, I guess, the thread that connects all these consoles are that they sold very well. So games are plentiful, consoles are plentiful. So you should have no problem tracking these down for cheap. Next, very near and dear to my heart, the original Sega Genesis. Probably my favorite console of all time, or at least close to it. So if you collect in-box, you're going to spend some money, but collecting loose games on the Genesis is very affordable. This is Kadash. I just grabbed this because it was one of my few loose games because I'm kind of a Genesis connoisseur. So I have the vast majority of everything in-box, complete if possible, but that's just me. But there were, several different iterations of the Genesis, not to mention lots of aftermarket options to play Genesis games. So Genesis is very great to collect for. Plus, man, whenever I go out and find Genesis games, nobody tends to really care about them. I see the same games sitting on the shelf week after week if I hit the same store a bunch. So I know for a fact Genesis is not the biggest, most popular seller. So recommendation, Genesis. And lastly, PlayStation 2, because you can play PlayStation 2 games and PlayStation 1 games. PlayStation 2 sold a crap load. And you also are, like I said, killing two birds with one stone. You can play PlayStation 1 games. A lot of those games aren't super expensive either. Like everything, there are exceptions, but I think it's a great console, excellent controller, and just a huge library for both. Now I could have gone down the Wii route because you can also play GameCube games on some of the Wiis, but I wanted to kind of keep it with just 4 consoles that are near and dear to my heart. I'm not the biggest Wii fan. I was in a time where I wasn't gaming a whole lot. So anyway, just to recap, I'd go with, like I said, Analog Pocket, or maybe another way to play Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, original Game Boy games. The original Xbox is a great console to collect for on a budget. The Sega Genesis, such a great console, and I think it's kind of almost forgotten these days with a lot of collectors. And finally, PlayStation 2 for playing your PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 games. So budget collecting / gaming tips from your man Cameron. And I hope you guys are having a great week. We'll see you again real soon.